This is what a school bus looked like in the 1930s. A gadget for hiding your emotions when playing poker, 1937. Dr. Heinz injects fluids taken from a live hair into a human, which combined with ultraviolet radiation and exercise is supposed to lead to rejuvenation. Berlin, 1925, author unknown. John Kennedy visits the Kennedy Space Center in 1962. Ernest Hemingway writing outdoors in Sun Valley, Idaho in 1939 while working on For Whom the Bell Tolls. Robert Kennedy and West Berlin Mayor Willy Brandt look over the Berlin Wall into East Germany. February 22, 1962, photographer unknown. Weird Party, 1950s. Designed by Professor Elsa Christie of Marion, Iowa, the machine was an intracycle with 2 extra wheels on each side, 1923. Mother Teresa releasing a peace dove. The mother offered her children for sale in Chicago in 1948 due to extreme poverty, hiding her face in shame. Photograph of 2 United States soldiers with dozens of pieces of art stolen by Hermann Göring, found in a cave in Schönau am Königssee, Germany, World War II, 1945. Holding a briefcase, see the first African-American student at the University of Mississippi, Oxford, October 2, 1962. General Tom Thimble, real name Charles Sherwood Stratton, stopped growing when he was just 6 months old. As a child, he stood about 63 centimeters tall, and as an adult, he was just under a meter tall. 1963. Crowds gather in Times Square to celebrate the new year. Two children pose for the camera with their little puppy on a pull car, circa 1918 to 19. Ronnie Coleman then versus Now 2020-25. Silicone blonde Pamela Anderson photo from a high school yearbook. London evacuees on a Sussex farm find joy in the first lambs of the year 1940. Eleanor Roosevelt cuts the ribbon to open the gift shop at the General Assembly building. Preparations for a mensur, a traditional strictly regulated saber fight between 2 male members from different student fraternities, usually in Germany. United States Navy sailors climb up a fire escape to cut down the Nazi flag hanging from the German consulate, San Francisco, January 1941. United States Navy technician marking radar data on chart tracking enemy Japanese ships in World War II Pacific. Children view the front page announcing Franklin Delano Roosevelt's death. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall with their son, 1952. Newsboy, St. Louis, Missouri, 1948. In early May 1949, Communist Party troops from a police station transport suspects of economic crimes. China. Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston at a Radiohead concert, 1998. With smoke still billowing from the World Trade Center disaster site, President Bush en route from New York City to Washington, 2001. Atari computer demonstration in 1979. A radio-controlled lawnmower in Paris, May 1960. Soviet troops having an open-air cookout in Afghanistan in 1984. Samuel L. Jackson and Latanya Richardson Jackson on their wedding day on August 18, 1980. They first met 12 years before in college and have been together ever since. Beauty contest for babies, Delfzijl, Netherlands, 1952. German soldiers surrender to Allied forces near the town of Landeck, Austria. Santa airplane. You got a little something there. Bruce Willis and Demi Moore at the premiere of If These Walls Could Talk, 1996. This is just about as cool as it gets, 1952. Wilhelm II, the Emperor of Germany in the Death Hussar uniform, 1917. Chester Bennington, late 1990s. Ronald Reagan answers questions about the actors' strike. At the time, he was president of the Screen Actors Guild, 21 of March 1960. Police and Firemen's Day display of a gangster's car riddled by Thompson machine guns for 10 seconds on September 24, 1930. Still from the 1967 film Cool Hand Luke, showing Paul Newman left and George Kennedy right in a boxing match. A crazy jump from one rim to the other at the Grand Canyon early 20th century. The legendary fight between Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, 1996. Germany, World War I, field radio station with 2 types of autonomous power supply. Aerial view of the St. Vith Christmas bombing in Belgium, 1944. Parthenon, Athens, 1986. Soapbox racing, 1960s. Young Italian fascists somersault over bayonets, 1930s. Hajj Amin al-Husseini, 1897 to 1974, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, developed a close working relationship with Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime during World War II, driven by shared anti-Semitism. Jeeps abandoned in a field somewhere in liberated Europe at the end of World War II, summer of 1945. Construction of Mount Rushmore National Memorial in South Dakota, United States, in the late 1930s. Bear in the Big Blue House and Sesame Street were shot in the same studio, and Muppeteer Carol Spinney went to the set while in the Big Bird suit in the late 1990s. Katharine Hepburn and her sisters Margaret and Marion in 1939. A Bohemian party in Paris's Montparnasse district, 1950s. Robert De Niro with his mom, 1950. Four women have lunch in the roof garden on Adelaide House, London, 1934. Actress Carol Baker throws open her arms to the men of the aircraft carrier Ticonderoga CVA-14 as the ship steams in the South China Sea, 1965. Korean soldiers being trained by Russian forces in the 1890s. Large numbers of police officers face off against a crowd of students outside the Prime Minister's residence in Tokyo, 1960s. Tech 5, Brad Hinchliffe of the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment sits on a downed Bf 109 in Nijmegen, Holland, 1944. Pilot unknown. Elvis was drafted to the United States Army in 1958. Boxer Jack Johnson, the first African-American world heavyweight champion, driving a Marion automobile. Washington, D.C. 1910. Tibeto-Mongolian gangster following collapse of the USSR in the 1990s. (1909 June). New York City children enjoying their little roof on the tenement. People line up to buy gasoline during an oil embargo in 1974. Oil embargoes in the 1970s led to mass shortages and meant hours waiting in line at the pump. Soda bottle return rack, 1960s. The 1931 Studebaker Giant, the world's largest car. A Meccan merchant and his Circassian slave. Picture taken in Mecca between 1887 and 1888. Southern Cheyenne Chief Wolf Robe, photographed in 1898. Some say he was the model for the Indian head nickel. FBI deployed M1A1 Abrams main battle tank drives past the Burning Branch Davidian compound on the final day of the Waco siege, circa April 19, 1993. Hue, Vietnam, 1968. The city was almost completely destroyed by fighting. Mensa, a traditional strictly regulated saber fight between two male members from different student fraternities, usually in Germany. Paul McCartney and wife Linda McCartney. Sahrawi soldiers of the Polisario Front, Western Sahara, May 1976. Pat Priest as Marilyn Munster on the CBS series The Monsters, 1960s. Donald Trump with his 13-year-old daughter, Ivanka, in 1990. Sinatra and Kennedy engaged in a lively conversation over dinner. They quickly hit it off. The first ever underwater photograph taken in the south of France at a depth of 164 feet by Louis Boutin in 1899. First solar-powered car demonstration, August 31st, 1955. Adolf Hitler next to Yugoslav Princess Olga. March 23, 1943. One of the new amphibious jeeps produced for the United States Army is driven into icy water for testing in the Detroit area. Soviet soldiers holding a victory banner in front of the destroyed Reichstag following the Battle of Berlin, May 1945. Student challenge from years past 22 people managed to squeeze into a single telephone booth, 1959. Sumo wrestler Kokinaya, Ivan Markianovich Borishko, Japan, 1960. Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg on a skiing vacation in Tyrol, 1932. Contestants in the 1945 Miss America pageant. A 16-year-old Brian May in 1963 with the red special guitar he was building with his father, Harold. This homemade instrument, crafted from a 100-year-old fireplace mantel, would go on to define the sound of Queen. A vintage photo of a family wearing funny masks. United States Army Air Force's Boeing B-17 radio operator gun position. The radio operator's gun was designed to cover the upper fuselage between the tail and the top turret, circa 1944. Liv Tyler, 1996. Artist Stan Lee and the band Kiss. Police rescue 13-year-old Milton Kerr from a tree on the side of the 75-foot cliff at Lover's Leap. Kerr were about halfway down the cliff trying to retrieve a lost baseball cap. As Kerr tried to climb back up, rocks and dirt began falling on him. 1953. Bandages are retrieved from the kit of a British dog during World War I, 1915. Equator crossing celebration on board SMS Kaiser and Elizabeth, 1893. Sightseers out for a ride on West Beach, Santa Barbara, circa 1875. Two bears in a funny pose. Construction of the Hindenburg airship, Germany, 1932. Stuntman Orma Locklear performs a handstand on the wing of a Curtiss JN 4D biplane in 1920. Jane Mansfield poses during a photo call at the open-air baths at South Shore in Blackpool, as her husband Mickey Hargitay assists her out of a white coat, 1959. In 1863, during the American Civil War in Virginia, Jacob Miller was shot in the head. Everyone thought he was dead, but he regained consciousness a few hours later and went on to live another 54 years. Portrait of a Maori woman whose face is adorned with tattoos. Britain's first airmail flight on September 9, 1911. Tashkent earthquake, 1966. Chinese female anti-aircraft lookout watching over Chongqing, 1941, Life magazine. Marilyn Monroe photographed by Nick de Morgoli, 1953. Jack Black, 1980s. Enormous traffic jam in Germany near the Brandenburg Gate 2 days after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Social distancing from 1953. A child with measles sits and eats alone during a coronation party in Chelsea, England. A photographer tracked down people he photographed 30 years ago to recreate the same pictures. A German Luftwaffe Heinkel, a 111 bomber flying over Wapping and the Isle of Dogs in the East End of London, at the start of the Luftwaffe's evening raids of 7th September 1940. San Francisco Airport, more than 1,000 fans watched as the Beatles plane landed, 1964. A United States Marine carries a blindfolded woman suspected of Viet Cong activities over his shoulder. Brazilian aeronaut Alberto Santos Dumont flies the fixed-wing 14B Oiseau de Proie 2 in the first heavier-than-air flight in Europe. The plane lifted off and flew for 60 metres. Paris, France, 1906. Boycott of Jewish shops and businesses, Germany, 1933. In early 1935, Amelia Earhart became the first person to fly solo from Hawaii to California, a journey that many male pilots had failed to complete. A behind-the-scenes photo of Fred Rogers on the set of the Neighbourhood of Make-Believe for his programme, Mr. Rogers' Neighbourhood, taken some time between 1984 to 2000. This man was in a tuberculosis sanitarium for a year during which his second son was born. The hospital took up a collection for him. 1962. Victorian women with unusual very short hair circa 1850s. early bobsleigh. The world's first computer mouse was developed by Douglas Engelbart in 1964 at Stanford Research Institute. MIT engineering students prank the roof of the car reads Tech 2, Hell, Cambridge, 1936. Red Hot Chili Peppers, 1989. The cruiser Kirov fires a salute in honor of the final breakthrough of the Siege of Leningrad, 1944. The Doors. Soviet soldiers liberated by the United States Army from a German prison camp in France, 1944. The Wetaskiwin Alberta ladies hockey team, 1905.